Floorless coaster model from Bolliger and Mabillard is probably one of their most popular and successful coaster models, with 14 being produced all around the world, with the first one coming in 1999 as Medusa at Six Flags Great Adventure, the most recent one being Nitro at Ablabs and Magica in 2013. In recent years, the Floorless coaster has mostly been taken over by the wing coaster model. However, there are still some floorless coasters popping up with these stand-up to floorless coaster conversions. I have currently ridden 6 of these rides, so today I'll be ranking the B&M floorless coasters that I have ridden. Number 6 is Firebird at Six Flags America. This ride is just plain awful. This was actually a floorless conversion of B&M's first coaster, Iron Wolf, a stand-up coaster formerly at Six Flags Great America built in 1990, before being relocated to Six Flags America and being rethemed to Apocalypse in 2012. And while I never rode the original Apocalypse, I can tell you that this thing is just terrible. It is a short and dull layout, and the constant headbanging is almost unbearable on this thing. It actually is in my current top 5 worst coasters I've ridden. It is not all awful, as it does still provide a fairly intense ride experience with an attempt at theming, but it's just not a good ride at all. Number 5 is Rougarou at Cedar Point. When I first rode this in 2017, I thought this ride was pretty dang terrible. Just like Firebird, this was a conversion from a stand-up coaster, Mantis, which opened in 1996. This ride is large and intense, but the headbanging was terrible. I came back in 2018 and got a pretty smooth middle towards the front ride and could say this is not a bad coaster at all. It's still a bit shaky and the trim on the drop is slightly annoying. But again, this is a pretty large and intense ride with a similar layout to Green Lantern and Six Flags Great Adventure. I don't mind this ride at all, and I'll definitely give it another ride when I go back to Cedar Point. Number 4 is Batman the Darknet at Six Flags New England. This ride opened up back in 2002, not long after the park was acquired by Six Flags, and it's definitely held up pretty well. It still runs very smooth for its age and has some nice intensity to it. It is a smaller and shorter ride, but has some nice whip on the Zero Giro and the signature interlocking corkscrews, and some nice positives on the vertical loop and dive loop and some of the bank turns. The drop is also pretty fun and just overall a solid ride, and definitely a great number 3 coaster in the park. Number 3 is Crackin at SeaWorld Orlando. Now, I know this spot will definitely turn some heads, but please hear me out. This was one of 4 large-scale B&M floorless coasters to debut in 2000. This ride had a lot of potential. I rode this in 2017 with the VR. One ride with the VR, and that's all. I didn't get a ride without it because the line was well over an hour long, and I just didn't feel like waiting for that. And now I look back regretting my decision to try the VR instead of just getting my one ride without it. This ride was pretty rough, but it was really intense, and the drop was really solid. Zero Giro even tried to fling the headset off and I had to hold it for the rest of the ride because of that. The whole thing just really distracted me from the experience. The VR itself was okay, but it's just kind of dumb on coasters. But I was just disappointed with the roughness of the ride in general. It wasn't horrible, but enough to keep it this low of a spot. I definitely look forward to getting some re-rides on this one headed back to Florida, but for right now, it's my 3rd favorite floorless coaster. Number 2 is Bizarro at Six Flags Great Adventure, formerly known as Medusa. This was the company's first floorless coaster when it opened back in 1999. I got 2 rides on this back in September 2019. I was pleasantly surprised with this ride. It is a great whippy drop, 7 intense inversions, awesome theming and effects, and just a really smooth ride experience overall. It's a fairly typical floorless coaster layout, but it executes it really well. However, where this ride really shines is the night ride, especially in the front row. The awesome effects and props are lit up and really kick this ride up a notch. It is mist, fire, it's cool building facades. It's fairly minimal, but it's still really cool. For this being the first floorless coaster ever, it still holds up really well, and I think the Medusa to Bizarro retheme in 2009 really helped this coaster be the awesome coaster it is now. Number 1 is Dominator at King's Dominion. A lot of people will look at this ride and think of it as nothing special. I mean, it only has 5 inversions as opposed to the typical 7, but this has to be one of the best relocated coasters ever. Coming from the defunct Geauga Lake as the world's longest floorless coaster, this ride packs quite a punch into its 4,210-foot layout. The drop in the back is excellent, just like Bizarro. All 5 inversions are executed flawlessly, including a 135-foot tall vertical loop with some of the best hang time in the world, a super intense and smooth cobra roll, and 2 whippy interlocking corkscrews, and add in some really intense bank turns in the first half and a fairly foot-numbing half helix to the end of the ride, not to mention the awesome ejector-filled mid-course drop, especially in the back row, and a butter-smooth long ride, and you have a near-perfect floorless coaster. Easily my favorite one to date. So there you have it, the ranking of all 6 B&M Floorless coasters I have ridden. What do you think about this model and this list? What are your favorite Floorless coasters? Make sure to leave all those thoughts down in the comment section below. And as always, leave a like on this video and make sure you hit that subscribe button if you are new for more great coaster content, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.